We are going. I'm Austin Light with American Demon Comics. I'm joined by Brandon Ingram with Dismay Comics. Uh, Brandon, lots going on. Lots been happening.
It's been a busy couple weeks for us. It's only been a couple weeks. It feels like a month or longer.
It does, and it's always gotten me thinking because I'm like, man, I was like doing it for every week. I was like, it feels like we're going too fast. We're having too many shows. But if we do it every 2 weeks, now it feels way too long, and I don't know how to I don't know how to
It's a
remedy that.
weird thing. I guess we have to do a every week and a half or something. I don't know what it is.
Maybe we just split up our shows. We have some show the podcast, and then we do a review or a talk shop specific kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's
So uh let's see. I want to jump in to congratulating you first on funding in within 40 hours. And since then, you still have 21 days to go, and you have doubled uh,
yeah,
that
yeah.
that goal.
At time of recording, which I haven't looked at in a couple hours, but we're at 1425, 1425, and like it's surpassing my expectations because I don't remember if I said it on a previous podcast. I was expecting to hit the funding goal of $750 within the first 72 hours. I
Mm-hmm.
felt fairly confident about that, but wasn't for sure. Like you mentioned, we hit that within the first 40 hours. And then we hit the first stretch goal within the first 6 days. And then, like, we're still going to where before the Kickstarter launched, my in head goal of like what I saw us doing was like, if we hit 1,500 by the end of the campaign, that'll be great. That's what I see
Yeah.
it hitting. It can go higher, but 1,500 by the end of the campaign. And now we're almost at 1,500, and it's been barely over a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm just happy to see where it goes. I got a feeling it'll be somewhere between 2 to 3,000 like the past couple campaigns, but I'm along for the ride right now. Basically, thankful for everyone that's backed it, Austin backing it and sharing it. Thankful for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really exciting to see a lot of and there's a lot of bonus stuff that comes out of getting that extra money, getting more than what you thought. A lot of content goes back to people when you have a little bit more play money for that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and I've been seeing you everywhere. And when
It
my
is
hair
a
is driving me
hustle.
crazy right now. Like the little strands are just everywhere. You can't see them, but they
Well,
just haunt
hopefully
my
you won't have
eyes.
a thing like last podcast where I had a hair go
Going
in my
in the
mouth and
throat.
then
Like
progressively go down my throat. Yeah.
it's like those cams that it's like trying to
Yeah.
look
It's
inside
it
you.
basically felt like that. Yeah.
um, but yeah, hustling, getting on these shows, and every time I see one, I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah. Oh
person,
yeah.
yeah,
Like
okay, yeah, this.
pretty much all the shows I've been on have been like great. Like this year, all of them in previous years have been great as well, but this year I feel pretty locked in terms of like really great shows. Yeah, the first week was crazy in terms of all the pushing and then trying to all the shows I was on. The first week I think I was on I think 12 shows. Like the first 5 6 days it was like 12 shows. um I was happy to do it. I'm happy to push it. I am glad I'm in like the second week and seeing what it'll be after that, because this week and the following weeks it's like 4 to 5 podcasts a week or 4 to 5 shows a week, which is a lot more breathing I can do. Because yeah, that first week, 12 of them in like five
Yeah.
6 day span. It was good. Like I had a blast, but almost burnt myself out where I was like, oh crap, I still have 22 more days of this campaign that I got to push.
Well, it's all downhill from here. I don't understand the downhill uphill analogy. Downhill sounds easier to do. That's what I'm going to go with. Uphill is the pushing the rock, and that's the hard
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
So I'm going to say
I'll
it's all downhill
say
from here.
I'll say it's all downhill, but at the bottom of the hill, there's a great treasure.
Of
That's
another hill.
so it's all downhill from here. Everyone, whenever people usually hear it's all downhill from here, it's usually negative connotation. This
Right.
time it's positive. There's a
Mhm.
treasure at the bottom of the hill.
Well, I'm super like glad and happy to hear like all this going good for you, and I'm excited to get my signed copies. Everybody signed copies of the Gallows, man. I will finally
yeah.
get to kind of engage with your stories because I have been on the outskirts in Town City,
Oh yeah,
just
yeah.
hanging out with the HR and
Some
the
homeless
Rusty
villains,
Hook
some
and RH.
superhero pets, and all that.
Yeah.
Now you get to see the broader area of it.
um, well, going off the shows, I've reconnected with a few people, and I'm trying to get in touch with some of the backers of Indie and see if they want to do a follow up or another review. And the plus side to some of the people doing reviews is if they go ahead and record something, and if it's positive or beneficial, I can get to use that for the next campaign without ever even
Oh yeah,
having
yeah.
to get their attention for it. It'll just be kind of locked and loaded. But I am excited to see how other people like the story. So I'm trying to reach out to other interviewers and also trying to set up some interviews with people I still have not got to be on with.
Oh yeah, I love like all the review stuff and stuff like that. I've had a few people on TikTok put out reviews for this one. A bunch of others are putting them out like the next week or two, sort of thing. But I always like saving that sort of stuff, whether it's that or the YouTube reviews and stuff. Like I always like to save that stuff because it like whether obviously I repost it on social media like, hey, go check
Mm-hmm.
out this person's review, sort of thing. But also sometimes you can do pull quotes from that sort of thing. Like on my campaign, I have 3 quotes from Galsman 2 back when that Kickstarter happened. Had people review it and stuff, or they had done reviews, and I just watched the video and pulled quotes from those. And there's
Yeah.
3 of those there that hit it perfectly. Like everyone has said like great stuff about it, but
Yeah.
those 3 quotes are like each one is very different and fits perfectly. But yeah, just having all that there to where you could always like do a post like you did with like you did a post where it's like
Mm-hmm.
a quote from Gary B, I think a quote from Pocan Joe, and
Yeah.
like a couple others. Yeah, it's always beneficial.
Um, yeah. And I that really helped have something to just be put into people's minds and have like constantly have the social media push for it. Um, all right. Well, it wouldn't be an American Dismay show if we didn't talk about a convention. So,
Yes,
um,
Austin has been priming this convention he did last week. He's been priming it for a couple months. He was a not only was he had a table there, but he was also helping in promotional stuff as well.
mhm. I was brought in as a guest, and um, part of so it that was covering for uh, the table, that was covering for the room, that was covering for opportunities at some food during the convention, and at and I felt that me just simply being brought in as a guest wasn't enough of uh, I guess a give and return um, kind of thing, because I don't have a big following. So I don't have like out of 10,000 people, 10 of them will show up at the convention because of me, and
Mhm.
that, so I offered to do some of the promotional stuff, and I don't have my badge. The badge is in the car still. But I did design the badge. I designed their logo. Um, I designed a secondary logo for the Web Paranormal Group, and then some of the promotional banners. It wasn't like too taxing or too, didn't take me away too much from my other responsibilities. It was fun, and I think they all turned out great. Uh, so I was here at this convention as a guest, and it was a fun start. Um, the top backer of the Kickstarter is someone we met there, and she came over and she got another $100 worth of stuff.
Dang, that's awesome.
And she said that her kids enjoy the stuff, so she gets them copies as well as getting herself some copies, and then gets them T-shirts and stuff like that. So um, that's always good. And um, the con was going pretty good up until about 2 o'clock on Saturday, and around that time, everything vanished. It just disappeared. Everyone that was walking around the con did not increase, it just decreased, and they were gone. And somebody was like, it's that dang football game. And I heard that, and I was like, no, we scheduled on a football game day.
So what was it? Was it a local league game or just
It
Alabama
was an
football game?
Alabama football game.
Yeah. That's a bit, especially like with how big Alabama football is, like because there's some states where like yes, the college football is a thing, but it's just not as big.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, like it's big.
Alabama is known for college football.
Yeah,
It basically
yeah.
is the thing that puts it on the map for the
Yeah.
most part. And I was I lost all hope at that point for Saturday. I was like, Saturday is toast. We can just, and everybody else knew it too. Everybody else was just like, nobody's here. I know, so I didn't get to question Jeff. Jeremy never even showed up. He never came to the con.
Oh wow.
They said something with him important in Louisiana came up, so he didn't come. And everybody just kind of felt down after that little rush that we had at the beginning. It sounded like apparently too that there were other events going on. I think they said that there were 5 other events going on this weekend. I don't know if that included the game or if that was other stuff, but from my experience last year, I know that a football game will always put us in the can. We had
Because
2.
last year, well, I mean, last year, like I was there last year, and that was right before college football season started, or just football season in general, like high school football. That was
Yeah,
a couple weeks before it started, so you didn't have to worry about that.
right. Last year I did one. I did 2 conventions, one at Low Mill and one in Boaz, and those had horrible turnouts. Uh, though they just didn't. It wasn't like each time I made back what at least I made back what I spent. I actually don't. Actually, Low Mill I think was an absolute negative, if I remember correctly. But the Boaz one, I made a little bit of profit. Um, and but the same situation happened with these two conventions. Football game, nobody there. It's a little lively once, as at before 1 o'clock, and
Yeah.
then that football game comes on and
Just
it's
died off.
gone. And then Sunday didn't really fare much better. We were hoping that it would do better, and no, nobody
Mm.
really showed up for it. Um, but we did what we could. It was a fun convention. There was a lot of people from the paranormal convention that I had been on podcasts with. I'd been on with Destiny. I'd been on with Litriana. I'd been on with Debbie Hawk Hutchinson, and they are a tight knit community in the Southern Paranormal Investigation kind of crowd, and um, I got to actually meet them this year because last year I didn't know who they were.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't even get to speak a word to a lot of them, so it was good getting to meet them, and then uh, it was good just getting to kind of hang out. And I did make money because I didn't spend anything really to get
Yeah.
there
That's true.
other than my
Gas.
gas. So I'm like I said in the email list that I sent out, is that I had a lot of stuff in my booth upgraded, a lot of new stuff, um, and I just had a lot more value in in what I was selling. So I did make at least what I made last year, um, and I just it just kind of is a damper to think about how much I possibly could have made if there was like a huge turnout like there was
Yeah, yeah.
last year. Um, but it is what it is, and you can only try again. So I told Stan I still hope to be a staple of the convention, and I want to return, and this, that, and the other. And I got to talk with some of the directors and the organizers and stuff to see if they're going to take this feedback on either putting it later or scooching it back earlier in the year. Um, and
I understand like wanting to do it later because of Halloween time and Halloween
mhm,
being fresh in people's minds, and that's very correlated with paranormal slash horror stuff as Halloween. But I mean, a lot of people that enjoy paranormal or horror stuff, that like that's why you see like some stores have Halloween sort of sale, like almost like how some stores have like Christmas in July type sales.
mhm,
There's some stores that have Halloween type stuff where people like to experience slash live Halloween all year round sort of thing.
mhm,
To where it doesn't have to be as close to that October 31st date. Um and yeah, like with living in the South, like and especially Alabama, if there's something like college football, like and conventions are usually a Saturday sort of thing. College football is always a Saturday sort of thing. Like that, if you can do it after college football season or before college football season, like that would definitely be the best.
mhm,
Just because like there's not a lot. I mean, there is a lot to do in Alabama, but compared to like big places, there's not a
yeah.
lot to do to where college football starts. People are focused on that.
Yes.
It's. I'm not saying it is this, but
People
it's
go
almost like
crazy.
cultish mentality towards it almost.
And many of the
Um,
people that were there being vendors or guests also had their iPad up watching the
mhm.
game.
Oh yeah, I've been to conventions before where like people were doing that. Like I remember when I did MobyCon, it was like uh yeah, I mean, when that was basically a week after this past one. It was like September 22nd to 24th. It was a good turnout last year when I did that, but I even saw vendors. Some of them have their little phone up, like checking the stats or whatever was going on at that time. Um, to where if you can schedule around that specifically in the South, that will definitely be beneficial. Because yes, there are other sports. There's Major League Baseball. It's specifically in the South. There's Major League Baseball. There's NBA, but those are not as big as college football when it comes to the South, specifically Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a con during those sort of seasons, like during the MLB seasons and stuff like that.
Right.
But and it's completely up to the directors. They're making the shots, but if they can do it no later than like the third
August
week of
was
August.
perfect.
Yeah. Really any time in August would probably be best. Mid to late July, mid July to mid August, somewhere in there, I think would be a good window.
Yeah. And for me, this was the death knell on doing uh, fall season conventions.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about doing something in November, and it's just that's not going to. We got too many things going on, anyways. Thanksgiving's coming up,
Hmm.
Christmas is coming up, and there's just not a lot of anticipation for a community like ours in the South for conventions and everything to work out, and that's 3 for 3 of fall conventions have been this way.
Yeah.
So as long as they are willing to have me as a guest, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
the Paracon, and I love them and what they've done for me, and the spotlight they try to keep me under. But anything else, it is just, again, unless they're paying for it, by all means, but it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like ultimately, a November or December convention could work in general. I'm not just talking about Paracon. I'm talking about every other con sort of thing. November or December convention could work, but I almost see it as like it kind of needs to be a 1 day thing, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
South. Um, like 1 day Saturday in November or December, and that could do well. But also for us as like artists and vendors, uh, don't have the vendor table or the artist table be $100+ for a
Mm-hmm.
1 day thing. Like that's sorry. I because there was, I'm not saying specific ones. There was that Huntsville one that I thought about doing last year
Mm-hmm.
that it didn't seem bad. It's just $100 for 1 day. And also it seemed like it was a good time. It's not a giant convention.
Right.
It sounded like it was within a hotel and not a big
Well,
hotel.
it had a heck of a lot of traffic, more than these other seasonal conventions I've done.
Oh,
That
okay.
being said, the main thing that really helped the Anime Fest last year, that 1 day thing that Brandon's talking about, was somebody bought my original ink of the indie cover, and golly, that changed the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then on top of that, they bought a lot of other merch, and it's like you just kind of had a whale show up and get everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to call anybody a whale. But
No, it's just like
I thank you for your support.
it's a artist and vendor term. Like
Mhm.
it's nothing mean. A whale is more
Mhm.
like
A high supporter, a highly regarded supporter.
basically like on Kickstarter how it's called like super backers,
Mhm.
where it's like people who like are going to support this stuff, as well as they will like put 50, 100, $500 into like supporting you sort of thing. Like it's not an offensive term. It's just that's the terminology. We didn't come up with that. Austin didn't come up with that. That's just a term that has been around.
Mhm. That's right. And sometimes we have people like that that will that really help out. They have a lot of expendable income, and they really want to help support the art and everything, and it's always very much appreciated. So
Oh yeah.
uh, it's not to be offensive, but yes, we
No,
did.
no.
I did have something, a few whales come by that really pumped up the whole booth and the experience. But throughout the day, there was a lot of traffic. There was just a lot of people going back and forth, um, and I don't think my booth was very attractive at the time. I didn't have a whole lot of stuff to offer. Maybe this year that would potentially be different. However, I do have the horror convention on in January. I have signed up for that. I am trying to stay in good regards with the guy that runs that show and the Low Mill show. And That was a pretty good show last year. There was consistent sales and stuff like that. So I'm going to give that one another try. It's at the very beginning of the year. It is a little strange for a horror convention, but usually the horror people are very enthusiastic about horror. So, um,
Yeah, yeah.
and then on top of that, I get to be one of the very few people that are like actually creative comic people. It's like the paranormal con. I get to be kind of unique as a comic artist rather than
Yeah, yeah.
uh, one of many.
Yeah. Where is that one in Huntsville?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's a 2 day con.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah,
Um,
we've talked about cons before. At least my thoughts on cons. I like a 2 day. Not really a fan of 3 days anymore. Uh, 1 day or 2 day.
mhm.
That's my bag. That's what I like. Because even if the con is a bust, it's like it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
If it's a 3 day and it's a bust, it's like oh god.
Yeah. It really sets in. Um but Yeah, again, we just had to talk about Kickstarters and conventions. It's been 2 weeks and it was just building up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
uh let's see. Um the I sent you a picture of uh the
The
Halloween
Halloween comic.
comic. So um that picture was taken by somebody at the facility.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so to me, it still looks like there's just a little too much trim on the top and bottom. But they said that
Oh, I
because
see.
I selected bleed, they do kind of up it a little bit just so that those areas that do bleed, they want to make sure it gets trimmed. Um, but That's been my third. This is my third try. The last ones that came back last week, they were just completely cut off at the bottom, uh,
Hmm.
and then at the top there was just almost no margin um, of the piece of paper. And this one, it looks the best out of all three of them so far,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. It
I'm
looks good.
willing to go with it, just um, because I no matter how you fold it, I have each panel um, readable. So no matter if it's off just a little bit, everything should be legible and
Yeah,
clean.
yeah,
Um, and again, they do very high quality printing. Um,
yeah.
that
And
is
based on
my
what I see
update.
like the bottom, like hold on, I'll show if it'll even show up. Probably not. The
Yeah.
bottom of that one, like there's still a little bit of white, so I think that's good. Like a little
Hmm.
bit of the white paper. It's not really
Yeah.
eating into it.
It's better than no white.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it can work out. I don't know if it's my phone or the camera. Did you zoom in at the colors? It might just be like focusing with my looking at the image. Um, like some of
The
the
little
not
patterns.
squarishness, but like the diamond patterns almost.
Yeah. I haven't been able to get a. That's what I was talking about when I was showing you the little squares last time.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't been able to kind of get rid of that. So again, it's the white really has a stark contrast against those
Hmm.
squares, and you don't, and it doesn't seem like it hinders it. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And I'm just so I'm really happy with the color and the detail that they're able to print off because it's way
Yeah,
better
yeah.
than my printer at work. What I get out of it. Um, so I'm ready to just kind of call it in the middle. Like, okay, it's good enough. And
Yeah, yeah.
but it was a fun project, and if there's anything severely wrong, I'll probably try and uh, send it back or ask for more of them. Just if it's like just I get them and I fold it and it just does not read right or something, I'll
Right, right.
adjust it. And
Is the is hold on, let me see. Is this hold on. Stupid camera. Is the bottom panel, is it slightly smaller than the top one? Like in terms of width?
it might be. I'm using yeah, it is. I might send
Okay.
them another one and bump that up a little bit, and then
Because I think it's just a width sort of thing.
yeah,
But
I think I'll bump it up a little
possibly,
bit and move it over or widen it.
yeah, possibly that's really the only thing. And if it's possible to tweak and somehow get rid of the diamond pattern, that'll be good. If not, it's fine. But overall, yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, I'll see if I can knock down that DPI, and it really sucks that I can't like just get a one for one with my printer and know
Yeah, yeah.
exactly how it's.
What we see on the screen, how it can always be a lot different through printing itself.
Mm-hmm. And it comes with like a fee to have another proof, and then a wait time, and then
Yeah, yeah.
so. But I'm happy with what we got so far. I'll make those small tweaks tomorrow, and then it's done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um. So what I was going to say earlier is that I'm using a new program. I did. Uh, I sent out an email a few weeks ago. I'm trying to drop Adobe programs. I'm trying not to have Adobe uh, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, Premiere Pro. Um, for the most part, I've tried to use other programs outside of the big three,
Mhm.
and I tend to not need them. Um, and I'm just like, well, if there are I'm already using Clip Studio Paint. That was basically a replacement to Photoshop,
Yeah, yeah.
like just almost instantly. That was a almost one for one Photoshop replacement. And then I started using, and I use Illustrator to make logos and stuff. So I did some searching and I found this suite called Affinity Suite, and that seems to have all the basic functions that I need out of each program. Um, it's $160 to get all three, and that's a one-time fee, and then I'm done.
That's good.
And I've paid Adobe probably approximately $5,000 over the past few
Yeah,
years.
those monthly or annual fees. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used Adobe here and there, whether for Photoshop or various other things, and I always do the. It's usually when I need it because I'm not an artist. It's usually for like slight edit stuff where it's like, this will take me just a couple days. I just
Mm-hmm.
need this thing for a couple days, so I'll just create a new account, do the trial, do my thing, cancel right before the trial ends. That's what I use it for, but I'm not an
Gotcha.
artist. An artist needs it all the time.
Um, well, part of me quitting was or trying to drop it was that there's news coming back that they're trying to make it harder for people to cancel their subscription. They're adding fees if you cancel subscription. They're adding like policy changes to like if you try to do what you're doing, get a trial, and then back out. They're like, no, you owe us this little bit of money here, and
It's like, no, that's not what a free trial is, sir.
no.
This is illegal, Adobe. Supposedly. I'm not saying
Mhm.
anything, but it sounds illegal to me.
So that I'm just and I've always wanted an alternative because I'm like, I'm paying $75 or something like that,
Hmm.
which is less than what it is right now. And I think I must have got grandfathered into that rate or something.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
and but now it's $90, and so $90 a month is a lot of freaking money. Like, I
Yeah.
can't.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was like, I'm in what bothered me was I had started using Clip Studio Paint. That has a separate fee, and not only is it a separate fee, but it's way cheaper. So I'm like, why can't they make it cheaper? But
Yeah, yeah.
um, it's way cheaper. But now I have a replacement for Photoshop, and I was like, if I could just find these other things to do these little things that each program does, I can be set without having to pay $90 a month.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I've done essentially, and yeah. So it as we continue, um, I'll be giving reports on how Affinity Suite is working out for me to make sure that those um, all the bases are covered with what I need.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's just frustrating to see like a company like Adobe, like the I understand you want your company to keep getting bigger and keep getting bigger, that sort of thing. I understand that, but like Adobe, even today, and at a point was like the biggest company for this sort of stuff. It was like kind of the only company for this stuff for a while, to where it's like, hey, like you have customers, you have a ton of customers, so just like maintain that price and they won't go looking elsewhere. You'll
mhm.
have them for life, but you're upping these prices because you're greedy and you're like, but we want more. We want more. It's
Mhm.
like, can you not be happy with the hundreds of millions, if not billions, you're already getting? But we want another 100 million, another billion. We have to
Yeah.
have it. We gotta have it. And
The
it's like,
the 20%
you
annual growth rule is so
it's
weird to me.
well, it's also ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's you at the end of the day, you don't need that.
Mm-mm.
Like your company can maintain on, hey, this is our profits from last year. We have the same amount of profits this year. Your company can maintain that way. You are just getting greedy. You want to get bigger and bigger, and that's okay. But if you're a company like Adobe that's been doing it for 20 plus years, sort of thing,
Mhm.
it's like, hey, isn't it okay to get to a point where it's like, we make, I don't know what they make, but we make $500 million a year.
Yeah.
This is good. Everyone's getting paid. Me, big CEO, I'm getting my fat stacks. I'm
Mhm.
happy. It's
Yeah.
never that case, though. They make up the bullcrap 20% more each
Mhm.
year sort of thing because let's drive our workers. Let's push them. Let's push them into the ground sort of thing and pummel them because me, fat cat, I have to have more money. And they get a tiny sliver of that.
Mhm.
It boils down to that. It boils down to the big dogs becoming more and more greedy.
Yep.
So the 20% more annual growth each year sort of thing to me is bullcrap. It's just a lie that a bunch of people are
Mhm.
saying. I think you can get to a point to where you can plateau and that's okay. You can maintain that plateau, not go down. You can maintain it where it's like $500 and or $500 million annual profit each year.
Yeah.
That's good. You worked up to that. Be careful to not piss people off to where that starts dropping. But people don't listen.
Mm-mm. Um, I find that a lot of situations like that happen with people that are trying. I really think that the greediest of the greedy people swindle their way up to a position like that, and then that's how they take advantage. I mean, um, I'm sure there are cases where it's like, the person that's originally in charge will just be, just grow into that comfort and luxury and greed. But I think that the people that are the hungriest and the greediest are like fighting for that kind of position, and
Oh
they
yeah,
never
yeah.
started with a passion or something.
And this isn't as big as like Adobe or anything like that. But an example that comes to mind for me is Rooster Teeth. And I'm not pointing a specific finger at a specific person sort of thing, just Rooster Teeth as a whole. Rooster Teeth was this brand that built and built and built and it got big to where they're not just making red versus blue little YouTube video sort of thing.
Hmm.
They're doing that. They're also creating all this other content. They're also creating anime. They're creating comics. They're then have their own convention, which at a
Yeah.
point was like top 10 biggest conventions of the United States. RTX was huge. And then at some point, sometime between 2014 to now, 2024, greed set in to where they're doing all this, but let's keep going. Let's keep trying to do more and more. Let's keep pushing it. Let's also piss off some of our creators. Let's have all this up to where a company that was a juggernaut, that
Yeah.
had a convention that was one of the biggest conventions of the United States, is now gone. Rooster Teeth ended earlier this year. It is
Right.
no longer around. The convention's no longer around. Them doing the animes, the shows, all that stuff. Rooster Teeth is gone. And it took someone getting a little too greedy or a group of people getting a little too greedy, wanting more and more and more to where it diminishes. I think it is okay to get to a peak or a plateau and maintain that plateau. But
Well, that's the sensible route, um, Brandon, and nobody's here for that. Nobody likes your
no, no. We
reason.
want growth. Brandon, stupid. You don't have a business degree, Brandon. You're stupid. We don't want to hear from you. Uh, I want to see also, Brandon, you mentioned the 20% annual growth each year. That's also stupid. I'm striving for 75% annual growth each year. You're stupid, Brandon.
I'm doubling everything.
And to get there,
Work,
I'll double all
work.
of I'll double all my cost of all my materials that I'm selling, and I'll
Hmm.
still pay the 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 peasants that make the stuff. I'll still pay them the same, and any extra profit I get.
Yes,
Mwahaha.
yes, that's right. All right. Okay. Um. All right. Next up, we have you watching anime again. What anime are
Yes.
you watching?
So it's been a little while since I've watched any anime. Nothing against it. I just like it's got to be one that pulls me in. And a lot of times it has to be a short one. I can't really do a 100+ episode thing anymore. Like I'm an old man now. If you can do 50 episodes or less, like that's
Oh, this
perfect for me.
anime is exhausting. I'm so
Hey,
tired.
if you can do like 15 episodes or less, like you have me in. I might not even care about the subject, but 15 episodes or less, I'm like, okay, that's not a big time commitment, even if I hate it. The one I started watching was uh I always forget the name because it's not the best name, but Serial Experiments Lane. It's a anime from the 90s. I think it was like 97, 98. Um, it is. It's only 13 episodes. I'm not done. I'm on episode like 9, I think.
Mhm.
It is. I'm trying to understand it. I like it. I think I do like it. I think I actually really like it. I think I actually really like this anime.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm on episode 9 and I still don't entirely know what is going on. I have ideas, and like I knew ahead of time because I saw someone post about this anime on TikTok, and that's what got me interested because they were talking about like it's ahead of its time. It predates the Matrix. It was also like an inspiration for the Matrix and stuff, and like that is true. Like having watched it, like I see a lot of stuff it's predating and being ahead of its time. It's 98, 97's when it came out. This is only a few years into the World Wide Web, public
Mhm.
access to the internet being around. It's only a few years into it, and it a big thing it tackles, and it doesn't like address it like saying this. It's more subtext that you can see within it. A big thing it addresses is uh, uh, the blending of the real world and the wired. They call it the wired in there, but it's essentially online,
Mhm.
the internet sort of thing. The blending of the two, to where sometimes it's hard to differentiate the two between one another. Also, how people can be consumed by the internet, to where like they don't really focus on their real life. Their focus is the internet and who they are on the internet, sort of thing, as well as dealing with that. Uh, how you have a different persona or personality in real life compared to your persona or personality in the internet. It tackles all that stuff very well and very ahead of its time because this is stuff that still goes on today. Is heightened today. It's at the
Mhm.
highest point it is today with internet influencers and stuff like that. Um, I say all that. That is what you can pick up with the show. But our main character Lane, who is a 14-year-old schoolgirl from Japan, um, I I'm trying to understand. I like it, but I'm trying to understand exactly like what she is or who she is. I know a lot of it is kind of metaphorical
Mhm.
because she isn't really a part of like computers and stuff and all that at the beginning of the show, but eventually she gets like sucked into this stuff. Like her room, her entire room looks like some sort of crazy like I don't know, like if there's
Lab.
monitors everywhere. There's like
Yeah.
water tanks as like coolants for her computers and all this. It's
Like
like
biomed lab.
yeah, that's basically what it seems like. That's her bedroom at her house, sort of thing. Um, and she's like big into the Wired and stuff, and she has her persona in the Wired, but it's also just hard to understand sometimes. And this is just by being on on episode 9. I don't know if Lane is like a god within the Wired or if she is a god in real life. It is like, for the most part, a grounded show just with this internet stuff. But there's some stuff that happens that, like, I don't entirely understand whether it's metaphorical or if it's real, like if it's real imagery. Um, and if it's real imagery with some of this stuff, it makes me think, oh, Lane is like a god. This little 14-year-old is a god. And I don't know if it's in the
Is it like
Wired, that
imagery you
makes
can't
sense.
tell if it's like in her head or if it's like
Well,
not your head but her
here's
head? Like
okay, so here's an example. This is one example. This isn't a spoiler or anything. This is like episode 5 or something like that. They're walking through Shibuya, like Shibuya Crossing and that sort of thing. They're walking through there and just like going to, like, her and her friends are going to like some place. And then in the clouds, like, Lane sees a bunch of little kids like looking up in the clouds, and I think they're either bowing or they're doing something like praiseworthy almost.
mhm.
And they're looking up in the clouds, and Lane's like, huh? And she looks up, and in the clouds, it's like an opening in the clouds, and it's Lane. It's like a heavenly version of Lane in the clouds, and all these little kids are seeing it. Lane sees it as well. And I think, if I remember right, her friends see it as well because they're like, whoa, what is that? They're like, wait, that looks like Lane. Is that Lane, sort of thing? And at first, it's like, okay, maybe it's just like all like, it's not real and stuff. But later on, when she's in her bedroom and on the computer and stuff, you hear like a news report saying, like, weird phenomenon earlier today. The imagery of something within the clouds, and scientists are speculating and stuff, to where it's like, okay, so that was real. I have no idea. I think it's somehow dealing with like the Wired, the internet
Yeah.
world, bleeding into the real world somehow. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I like it. It's hard to understand. But I will say the opening song, the intro song, is really good. One, it's a good intro. It's a good intro song. But also the very first lyric in the intro song is and you don't seem to understand, to where it's perfect. That describes the show. I have no clue entirely what is going on. So with that first lyric, you nailed it on the head. That is the show. That's how you describe Serial Projects Lane, is and you don't seem to understand. It's a good way to describe it.
Let's put the thesis here in the first course thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can recommend it.
Well,
But
you
if
haven't
someone
finished
wants,
it yet.
yeah, that's the thing. I need to finish it. Maybe it'll answer questions. I got a feeling it's not going to. Um, I think it's going to be me interpreting it, and it's also probably going to lead me to go into YouTube videos of
Mhm.
Serial Experiments Lane. Explain.
Yes.
So we'll have to see.
Okay. I'll have to. I want to check this out too. This sounds fun.
It's only available on YouTube unless you buy on eBay like DVDs and stuff. Like,
Mm,
it's not on Crunchyroll. It's nowhere else. There's some playlists on YouTube that have it.
gotcha. Well, that's not entirely bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, so everybody can check it out. Essentially. So that's cool. Well, we will have to do that, and let's see. Nothing comes to mind right now, but we do have Strange Darling to talk about, and we can take another 30 to 45 minutes to talk about that in the review section. So
Sounds good.
we'll take an intermission from the podcast, and see you in the next video. So I've been Austin Light with American Demon Comics, and I've been joined by Brandon with Dismay Comics. You can find our stuff on social media at Facebook and Instagram, American Demon Comics or Dismay Comics. Go fund Brandon's The Gallows Man. Get us those stretch goals.
Still have a couple more.
Yeah.
I want to hit both, obviously, because it's like my project. I want to hit the stretch goals and stuff, but also I do want to hit these, especially this upcoming one, because it's a 5-page comic that has been sitting on the back burner because it's for Tales from Town City #2, but Tales from Town City #2 is kind of sitting on the back burner right now because of all the other comic projects I have. But this 5-page comic has been done for like a year, and I want people to be able to check it out, sort of thing. It's very funny, especially it ties in with the Gallows Man. It's set in the middle of something that happens in Gallows Man #2. So once we hit that stretch goal, everyone will be able to get that PDF and stuff.
Well, that's awesome. So get even more Gallows Man oriented stuff. This is not just some crazy outlandish 5-page story that Brandon just didn't have the heart to put in anything else. It is in the universe.
Yes.
So looking forward to that, and I appreciate you joining me on the podcast. And we are going to go jump to doing the review. And if you're watching this, the review will obviously be on my channel within probably a day or two of this recording. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.